FPL is back this week, and so is my Game Week 1 specific content, kicking off today with the deal sheet, looking at 3 players in each position that you should buy, monitor and avoid ahead of the FPL deadline. Let's get straight into it, looking at the forward to buy, and it's Newcastle United's Alexander Isak. He is the most owned player in the game in 55% of sides, and it's clear to see why, given that he's predicted to score 7.1 points for Southampton at home in Game Week 1, the third highest prediction of any player. He's got a full pre-season under his belt. There's no competition for spaces with Callum Wilson injured, and his underlying numbers from last season were incredible. Second only to Haaland for big chances on goal, and he was in a real hot streak in the tail end of last season. Isak is also a great pick if you're planning on playing Draft Fantasy this season. I'm going to be playing Fantasy FC Draft on the Sleeper app, where Isak is 8th in the player queue and the second best forward after Haaland. I've already tried out a mock draft on the Sleeper app with a few of my friends in the FPL community, and I was really impressed with how slick the app is. The mock draft was intuitive, great UI, and I'm really excited to now go and draft for real. Draft leagues on Sleeper are fully customizable. They take that head-to-head format, and it's absolutely free to play. And that's not all. On the Sleeper app, you can get all of the latest football news. We can get live scores, match stats, and also an integrated chat feature. It's really worth checking out. If you're interested, hit the link in the description to this video to download the Sleeper app and try and get together a bunch of friends to play draft this season. On the monitor list is Dominic Solanke, who's in 11% of teams predicted to score 4.7 points in Game Week 1. Now, if there's any whiff that he's going to be a Spurs striker come Game Week 1, then that ownership is just going to rocket, because it makes him an absolutely mouth-watering prospect to be playing as the number 9 in a top 6 side. That's why we're monitoring him. We need that transfer to go through and to be available to start against Leicester in Game Week 1. The big question, will he get penalties off Son? Well, he does have a better penalty record than Son does, so that's something that we need to know. But 19 goals last season, he was 4th among any players. He's already stated that he's going for 20 this season, so look out for that transfer going through, and that could really shake up our current drafts. Looking towards the forward to avoid, you may find this one a bit controversial. It's Arsenal's Kai Havertz, who is in 14.4% of sides. He's been reclassified this season as a forward, having played that number 9 role towards the tail end of last season. But in pre-season, we've seen a very fit Jesus come in, pushing Havertz back to the 8 role that he started last campaign. And Arteta's been very complimentary about Jesus and his fitness and how pleased he is to have him available for the start of the season. So for me, that absolutely nullifies Havertz's potential as a fantasy asset. Now, this could come back to haunt me, because he is predicted to score 5.8 points according to the latest AI productions on Fantasy Football Hub. You can access all of these with a membership with 50% off right now. Win your mini league or your money back. Check out the link in the description to this one. Moving on to midfielders, and I've actually picked out the 5th highest owned midfielder in the game as the avoid. Manchester City's Phil Foden, only predicted to score 2.9 points in Game Week 1, and that's because Pep Guardiola has said, given his late return from the Euros, he's going to be eased back in. So we're not expecting significant minutes from him in Game Week 1 or Game Week 2 for that Ipswich at home fixture. To me, Foden only becomes investable come Game Week 3. I mean, he could be a great fantasy pick for this season, but I'm not interested in owning him for the first 2 game weeks of the season. I think Grealish will start the season on the left. I think if you really want a Man City attacker and you're not going Haaland, then you need to be looking at Grealish, De Bruyne and Oscar Bob as a differential. Looking at the monitor list, it's Liverpool's Diogo Jota in only 3.9% of sides, predicted to score 5.1 points in Game Week 1. And that's because we're expecting Jota to at least start the season playing in the front 3 and increasingly likely leading the line, having played that role quite a lot in pre-season. How long this lasts for, we don't know. We don't know whether he's going to be a firm starter for the season or whether he can stay fit for that matter. But I think for game week 1, he could be one that's worth a risk, particularly if you're going without Salah and you really want cover from the Liverpool attack. You may be safer going with Trent, let's see. But there will be managers that go there and they could be handsomely rewarded. But the midfielder that I would buy is Spurs' Heung-min Son. He's predicted to score 6 points in game week 1. He's in 11.5% of sides, and it's the fixture that makes him really appealing. It just screams goals, Leicester away. Bear in mind the last 4 times these sides have met, it's accumulated 22 goals in this fixture, which is pretty insane. And Son, one of his favourite opponents in the Premier League is the Foxes. In 14 appearances, he's got 9 goals and 4 assists. Very impressive record. We know Son starts the season hot. He's had a full pre-season as well. If you can find the funds to squeeze him in, I think you'll do very well. Moving on to defenders then, and on the avoid list, it's Newcastle United's Kieran Trippier, who's still in 14.1% of teams, only predicted to score 1 point in game week 1 because he's not likely to start. A late return from the Euros and heavily rumoured in the transfer window with a move away from Newcastle, who are trying to stay within the rules for budget purposes, which is why we've seen some players leave in this window. He is quite well owned, which does surprise me, and he isn't justifying his price tag. There's a better defender at 6 million that I think you should own. More on that soon, but if he does leave, it does allow us to consider on the monitor list Tino Livramento, 1.9% owned, predicted to score 3.4 points in game week 1. I think he will start game week 1. We need Trippier to leave for Livramento to become a consistent starter, and this is why he's on the monitor list. If it happens, then that could make Livramento the best 4.5 million defender to own in the game, and he could be worth the risk anyway. 12 appearances last season, 1 goal, and a really nice pair of opening fixtures. Southampton at home, followed by Bournemouth away. If you want a like-for-like swap, if you've got Trippier in your current draft, then where I would go would be to Arsenal's Gabriel. He's a lot less owned than his teammate Saliba, but 5.5 predicted points puts him top among defenders for game week 1. And we have seen over the last few days some injuries come to the fore in this Arsenal defence, which means that Gabriel does look nailed to start the season. And the Gunners have the best clean sheet potential in game week 1 at home to Wolves. They were the best defence last season. And AI prefers Gabriel to the more expensive Ben White and the rest of the Arsenal defence. So I think for me, Gabriel's appeal has increased given those injuries. I was looking at Raya myself a few weeks ago, but I think now Gabriel looks to be a very great pick for the opening week of the season, potentially the opening 3 weeks before Arsenal's fixtures do take a turn for the worse. Remember, all the stats and predicted points for this video do come from Fantasy Football Hub, 50% off right now using the link in the description to this video. Here's the deal sheet in full then. Isaac, if you've not got him in, get him in, and make sure you're checking out the Sleeper app for the Fantasy FC draft game. Download the app now using the link in the description to this video, and check out the rest of the deal sheet series because during pre-season I've done one for each position: defenders, midfielders, forwards and differentials. Make sure you're hitting the like button on this one. Let's get it to 500 likes. Subscribe to the channel as well. I'm hoping to reach 35k by the game week 1 deadline on Friday. Thank you for watching.